This one here is more of a kind of like an injury prevention video and like a stretch video. Now, what I'm going to kind of address today is a typical problem that you see in most people, not just guys who weight train. Now, most people, typically when they weight train, they train the muscles that they can see in the mirror, because those are like the showy muscles. And what often happens is the muscles behind those showy muscles become neglected. And if you end up with this neglect problem, it'd be one thing if it was just a visual thing, but it's not. It can actually end up causing you a lot of pain and unnecessary pain. And it's typically from having muscle imbalances. Usually in most people, especially in commercial gyms, you will see excessively developed chests and front delts, relatively poorly developed side delts, and in some cases non-existent rear delts and poor back development. Now today I'm going to concentrate on showing you an exercise that will kind of help you address the rear delt issue. Now one of the problems when we have an imbalance like this is that it can really badly affect your posture, which can pull your body out of alignment, put muscles under stress. It will tighten up other muscles and it will cause other muscles to overstretch. What you typically find with this is people end up with a posture, instead of being like this with the head back, they end up like this with the arms like this and like this, and this eventually causes upper back pain, neck pain, and then it works its way down the chain. It can end up resulting in lower back pain and hip pain, and it's usually because of just one area of the body that's been neglected, and it can be one of those areas can be the rear delts. Now it is other muscles too, upper back muscles, traps, lower back, but today I'm going to concentrate on the rear delt, and I'm also going to show you a stretch that you can do that will help you alleviate any tension that you might have in some of in the pec area. Now, one of the ways that we can hit the rear delt is obviously with the dumbbells and the various face pulls, and you've seen all the rear delt exercises. However, this one here is called band aparts. You can get these bands in most fitness stores or on eBay. This is a 5 to 20 pound one, and what I advise people do is maybe every 1 to 3 times a week to do band aparts. And if you're very weak and you can't do many, aim for like a total of 50 reps. If you're quite strong, aim for like 100 reps. And to perform the band aparts, basically like how we perform a rear delt fly, kind of keeping our arms locked. And we're going like this. And we're pulling back like this. You're not bending the elbows, by the way, and pulling out the triceps. It's not a tricep exercise. So we do this, back, back. If it's too easy, loop it around your finger again. And then we go like that. That, 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 that. Now, do 100 reps of those. You should feel a burn in your rear delts. Now, I don't have much time in this camera. It keeps on running out of, storage. Again, I'm wasting time telling you this, so I better go on. Now, the stretch that I want to show you is one that will help stretch that lat area and the shoulder girdle area and the pec. And you take your same band. It doesn't have to be a band, by the way. If you don't have a band, you can use like a thick piece of rope. And I'm going to loop it around some sort of upright. I'm using a power cage. We go like this, and I'm looping it around like that. Sorry about the camera angle. And I take my arm, put my arm through the band like this, place my hand at the back of my neck, take my opposite hand here, and I'll lean in. Don't worry, the band's not going to break, and you stretch. And if you're really tight, you'll feel a stretch in your lat, your chest, and then your shoulder. And if you're very, very tight, you might even feel it going right all the way down to your hip. And we just hold for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we swap arm, do the other arm. And here's another stretch that we can do. Take the same band and take it down a little bit. Take the band like this and put my hand through like in a fist position, and I'm just leaning in like this, and I'm leaning, and I can feel a good stretch in my pec, in my front delt. Keep your head up and your back straight. Don't lean forward, and try and get into a bigger stretch, because when you attempt to stretch muscles, like that and you go too far, it causes almost like the stretch reflex to kick in the muscle. That's an action that the muscles have to protect themselves, and it will actually cause the muscle to fight back and defeat the purpose of the stretch. A stretch should always be relaxing. It shouldn't be something. It should never ever turn into like this type of feeling you get when you're lifting weights seriously. This one also stretches the bicep too. It's very good. I had a shoulder impingement problem once, and these two stretches that I've just shown you got rid of it, along with the high rep dumbbell laterals that I did. And then we swap arms, and we do the exact same. Now, this is also an excellent one for people who work at computers, because when you sit at computers all day, people tend to not sit properly like this. They tend to sit like this, staring at the screen. And as you can see, you end up with tightness down the neck, the upper back, and then you end up with shortening of the pecs, which then makes the pecs tighten. And then you get stretching in the upper back, and before you know it, the person's getting at their chair and they're like this, like, geez, that's fucking sore. So if you work at an office, I advise that you do this. Obviously get out your chair as well every hour, and stretch your back. And if you can, keep one of these at your work, and every hour or something, once you've done, or every couple of hours, try and do 30 to 50 band parts, and by the end of the day, see if you could have done between 100 to 250 band parts, and that should go a long way in helping you from, to stay away from pain. And this one's obviously beneficial to the guys who weight train, because this can actually stop you from developing injuries, that eventually end up, taking months to fix. I appreciate that these sort of like rehab, muscle balance style, exercises and things like that, they're not fun. It's not as if you can go into the upstairs and pose in front of the mirror after, because it doesn't really, pump up any major muscle groups. But it's worth it, because if you invest a little bit of time, you'll have more time to train more productively, because you will not be injured, and you won't be training around injuries. And it will just end up frustrating you, because a lot of the injuries that people get can be avoided by simply doing these boring things. So instead of, another way that you can do this is, if you're at home and you're watching telly and adverts come on, instead of watching the crap adverts that come on, they just usually end up annoying you anyway. You don't get decent adverts anymore, they're all shit. Get the band out and do some band parts. I'll show you some other rehab exercises, in future, related to this type of thing, but that's just the one that I'm doing and showing you today. I hope the videos of use to you. If you've got any questions, PM me.